All right, here I am talking about episode 4 and 5 of MF Ghost. Oh boy, what the hell? What is happening with franchises nowadays? I don't understand. Like, all right, so I'll give this all right. This is just all opinion. This is all opinionated. I know people are gonna say that I'm dumb, but I just have to just explain to people how I feel because I'm a big Initial D fan, probably just like every single person who's watching this show in the first place. Episode 4. The name of the episode is called Tire Management. The episode starts with a 20-second clip of the two main characters, whose I still don't remember their name, but the main protagonist is a Kanata, I think his name is, and they talk about tires for 20 seconds, and that's it. That's the first scene. That is all you get with the title. They just say, "Yep, these tires are bad." And then they never talk about it ever again. And then all of the rest of the episode is the main character out with his love interest and they go to the beach. That is the whole episode. Now, mind you, it wouldn't be bad if there was actual, like, substance behind the character. Like, so far, all we know about this girl is that she's one of the MF Ghost Angels, which is just a girl team to monetize the racing area, or the to monetize like the racing for TV and stuff, so they can grab in more followers. They literally are supposed to have very attractive women to attract more followers to get their attention. Like, that's what they're there for. It's weird. Like, I understand, but it's just like, okay. So there's nothing particularly interesting about this girl. She's just one of the angels that wears like really skimpy clothes to grab people's attention for the show. And then she slaps our main character for no reason other than he was a really fast driver. I don't understand what the hell is happening here. Like, there's nothing interesting about her. She's just a random girl. Like, any one of those girls on that Angels squad could have done the same thing she did. Like, there's nothing particularly interesting. And I mean, that's it. That's episode 4. So I mean, I don't know. I'm kind of stuck. I don't even know what else to talk about. Episode 5 is where things start changing a little bit. Episode 5 is called Teamwork, and they introduce these two new characters that drive like an Alfa Romeo, and I forgot. Oh, sorry. I forgot what the other one drives. But they're like brother and sister, or boyfriend and girlfriend. I don't really even know. Like, the show made it seem like they were boyfriend and girlfriend, but I'm guessing that they're brother and sister. Um, just cause I don't understand. I don't know if that's the show trying to do something funny or weird. But they're brother and sister, I'm gonna assume. And I mean, that's it. And then that's really the end of their character. They don't do anything in the episode. Like, they're racing again, like the top 15, and that's it. They do like I don't understand what the title means. I'm assuming the title means for them because the camera always keeps panning to them, but they have their own internal dialogues. I didn't really see them do much of any type of teamwork, but I'm just assuming since there's two of them and they're the only ones that are like communicating with each other, that it's about them. And there were only like 2 scenes with our main guy. A scene right in the beginning where he started the race, and then at the end he passed the Civic Type R, and that's the end of the episode. The entire episode was not about that. Literally, like the first race against other people other than himself was about other characters that nobody knows anything about. And it's not, and it's like, I don't care to know anything about them. They're just like, eh, there was no anticipation to me about any of these characters. Like, they all hate driving, it seems like. It seems like none of them actually like driving cars. It seems they're all just rich, snobby types. Like, that's literally every single person in the top 15 just says that they don't like to drive, and they just keep getting the latest and greatest car. Like, they just want the title, but it's like, but they don't like cars. They just like winning things. It's just such a strange concept, and what they all look so weird. They're like, they remind me of like Pokemon gym leaders. Like, they just have like a very unique design to all of them. Like, one of them looks like he's a drug dealer and will just stab you. He just looks like a weirdo, like just some weird person. Then there's the main guy, which looks like he's some type of like Pokemon Ice gym leader type of person, but he's so cool, I guess the show is trying to say, that he doesn't even like driving. So it's like driving is beneath him, like he just wants the title. It's just really weird. Like, I don't like, these characters have like zero internal dialogue. So it's like, I don't know what any of their motives are and why any of them are doing any of this. Like, our main guy, apparently, he said, our main character said that he wanted to do it not for money, but for the challenge. Okay, fine. We're doing it for the challenge. But how the fuck is he that good? How is he that good of a driver, first of all? Like, I understand he was trained by Takumi Fujiwara, but there's a reason why Takumi became the best driver in Initial D. This is something that I've been actually starting to think about more and more as I analyze this show, because when I first started watching the show, I actually thought it was okay. I didn't think it was great, but I didn't think it was bad either. But the more and more I dig deeper and think about this show, the more and more points keep getting brought up in the comments, and the more and more points keep getting brought up in my own head, to where I'm like, son of a bitch, that's true. So, the first thing, how is our main character so good at driving? Okay, fine. He was trained by Takumi Fujiwara. Fine. That's completely understandable. This kid has never driven this course before, ever. And they explain in like the first or second episode that he's driven this course in his mind, like he's already memorized the layout. Like he's a savant. Understandable. That does not mean you know where every little divot is. If you've never driven like, you can study a course. You can study a course. You can play any simulator you want. You can study any course you want. You can look at the pictures until you're blind. You're not going to know where every little tiny divot in the road is until you drive it. It is physically impossible. You do not know how you and your car are going to react on that pavement until you start to drive it. It's impossible. I don't care how many times you look at the road. You don't know how the road is going to treat you until you actually drive on it. But this kid already knows every little detail about the road. Mind you, there's nothing even special or particular about this track setup that they have going on for this event. Like, there's no memorable moments. There's nothing special about the course. Let me give you a comparison. people get upset when I bring up Initial D. Like, oh, it's not Initial D. You can't compare Initial D to MF Ghost because they're not the same. But MF Ghost is supposed to be the sequel to Initial D. Shouldn't it's in the same world? Don't the same rules still apply? My thing is Takumi actually was a shit driver. He had to practice Akina for years before he came good. Like, he got the hang of it after 6 months, every single day. Every day. And he kinda got the hang of it after 6 months. He was graduating high school as the show ended. He started driving when he was in the 6th or 7th grade every single day. And Takumi, that's how all he memorized was Akina. He knew nothing about any other course. The skills that he learned from Akina, he was able to bring to other courses, but he won in ways that were more believable than what's going on in this show. And let me tell you something. He wasn't racing people on Akina's uphill. He was the downhill racer. The downhill racer. That was the whole point. He drove an underpowered 8.6 versus high-speed performance cars. But the thing about Akina is that it was very technical. It was tight and technical. So the 8.6 had an advantage. It was lightweight. It didn't abuse the tires. It didn't make a whole lot of horsepower, but it didn't matter because he was gaining his momentum from going downhill. Horsepower, the show was right. Going downhill, horsepower doesn't matter. The car's balance is more important than horsepower. It is 100%, and it was believable. Yeah, there were wacky moments on how he passed people, but it was just an interesting concept because it just goes to show of how good he learned how to drive that road more than anybody else because he drove it every single day for literally over 5 years every single day. So he became a phenomenal driver that way. It was believable. And the first time he went to a different course to race a different person, he almost fucking lost. Bad. He could not keep up because he had no idea what the hell he was doing because he had no idea how the course was laid out. He was just following the person in front, and luckily the person in front of him messed up and he was able to get around them. But if he didn't, he almost lost, dramatically. It made sense. And MF Ghost, the more and more I think about it, somebody left a comment on my last video, and I started thinking about it more and more. And I'm like, yeah, you know what? They're right. There's no way in hell that a Toyota GT86 that makes stock horsepower on any planet would be able to pass these cars on this course in particular. The course is flat. There are a couple uphill, downhill, and flat sections. And the downhill isn't at the last part to where he can make up time, I guess. No. It's random generated terrain, this course, in my opinion, because it's so big that I can't remember every corner, and it could be different in every scene, and I wouldn't remember it. There is no way in hell that GT86 is going to pass any of these cars. None. And yeah, well, Takumi was able to do it in Initial D in a low horsepower car. Well, no. He was the downhill specialist. The whole point is that he went downhill. The show even explained that in order, he raced multiple people before and he lost. He wasn't on Akina. He was racing a car that made double its horsepower and he lost. He could not keep up. His motor literally blew up and they had to put a better motor in it that made more horsepower because that was the only way he could keep up with different competition in different areas. The 2.5 liter boxer engine that comes inside the GT86 in real life makes 200 horsepower if you're lucky. Those engines are notorious for lack of horsepower. The whole point of the car was to be lack of horsepower. It was supposed to be made for handling. But just on how this course in this show is set up in general, there's no way that a GT86 would pass any of these cars. It doesn't matter. I don't care how many suspension modifications you do to the car. The car still has a full interior. The suspension looks somewhat. I mean, it could be modified, but it doesn't look like it's modified that crazy. I don't know. They never explained it. Like, you get it's just this generic mechanic that put the car together that we don't know anything about right now. Maybe they'll explain it later. The reason why we believe the 8.6 and Initial D was this like special car and mechanically set up properly is because Bunta set the 8.6 up and started changing the car to adapt to Takumi. Like the car was handcrafted to the driver. Like he worked on that car for years perfecting its design. That's what made it special. This mechanic and with the GT86, it looks like he just slapped some wheels on it and we never get any context to what exactly like why is he says that the car's perfect. Okay, well this guy doesn't really like yeah, he could be an amazing mechanic, but like there's nothing about him that like it's just like well yeah this is my baby, I've worked on this car for years. It's just like there's no he's literally like well if you wreck the car I'm sorry. Like it just they're treating the car as if it's this expendable thing. You know what happened in Initial D if Takumi crashed the 8.6 and it was totaled and we'd have to have a new car like literally within the first 5 episodes? It'd be awful. Like, but they even contemplated saying I might wreck the car. It's just like, what? What do you mean? They're talking about it like it's expendable. It's like this is the car the show is based around. What do you mean? So it's just funny. Like I don't see this GT86 beating any car on this course. The only one that it beat so far in the first race was the Civic Type R. That's the only car I would consider it beating in real life, too. And even the Civic Type R is like, it just makes so much more power. The only thing is that it's a front wheel drive, which I'm surprised. The leader who's in front, who's actually winning the race, is in a Porsche GT2. I can actually imagine that car being in first place. That car does deserve to be in first place. That is like in real life and in anime, like the fastest car that you could probably have on the track. Porsche race cars are unbeatable. They are ridiculously fast on any track. Any track. I don't see a GT86 beating any of these cars. It's impossible. I don't care how good of a driver he is. It's actually impossible. But the show is going to do some magical thing. Maybe. I mean, maybe not. But as it looks like so far, they're making it seem like he's going to just beat everybody somehow in the GT86. It's impossible. It's not like he has an entire downhill to show him. Like it's not like he has an infinite downhill like Akina where he can just keep gaining his speed back. Like that was the whole point of Initial D. This is just like silly. The last scene of the earlier episodes was a scene when he was on the straightaway and he was getting wind resistance. That's another thing that wouldn't happen. The top speed in that car with the stock motor, you'll get like 135 miles an hour out of it on a straightaway because that's what it was. That's all you're getting. You're not gonna go any like maybe 140, maybe if you're holding the gas forever. Like, it doesn't matter how long you hold the gas for. You can keep holding gas forever and ever and ever, and you're gonna top out. Like, the engine isn't infinite. It doesn't have enough horsepower to go any faster. They're making it seem like in the show he was going like 200 miles an hour. It's impossible. That is absolutely absurd. There's no way that that car could go 200 miles an hour, or even close to that, or 180 or 160. That's impossible. It does not. It doesn't make any sense. The car is not set up for that, and the guy who built the car certainly didn't set up for that either. There's no major modifications, it seemed like, that are done to the car that can make it go that fast. They're making it seem like all the supercars that are around the GT86 up to that part are like slowly creeping by it, as if like the GT86 is at maximum speed and these cars are barely able to pass. No. If you floored any one of those cars that were passing him as ghosts to the finish line, those cars would just fly by the GT86 like it was standing still, especially if it had that much time to build up speed. Those cars could probably hit 200 miles an hour easy if you hold on the gas. Like, I like how they show that the cars are slowly creeping by it. No, if this was real life, those cars would literally just fly by the car as if it wasn't moving. They make so much horsepower, and they're made to go that fast. It just doesn't make any sense. Like, there's nothing. These characters have like no type of mysterious air about them. Like the show is basically what you see is so far. It's what you see is what you get. I don't see the show getting any better. It might. I'm gonna keep watching it to see if it does. But as of right now, I don't see this show getting any better at all. But like I was saying, these characters have no mysterious air about them at all. Like they again, I'm gonna compare it to Initial D. Every character has their own motives. Every character in Initial D has their own motives. The Red Suns were the first people who came up. Their motive, they wanted to set the record on every local course in the region. Since they lost, that dream stopped. They beat Takumi beat Keisuke, and then after Keisuke, he moved on. After Keisuke, I'm pretty sure he went up against Nakazato in the GTR. I think. I'm pretty sure. Was it the GTR that he go up next? Yeah. Yeah, I think it was. I think it was Nakazato. Nakazato wanted to do it because he wanted to prove that he's the fastest in the area. He wanted to be like the cemented leader of the Night Kids, and he wanted to be faster than the Red Suns. Okay, fine. And he also wanted to prove dominance, that the GTR was better than an old Corolla. Phenomenal. There was great character definition and dialogue. They showed us a little bit about the backstory about each of them, like in a couple seconds. So it left the show up to imagination to the audience, to like, oh, this is the type of guy that this guy is. This is why these are his motives. They did the same thing with Shingo. It might have been a little less because Shingo was an unlikable character, but they were able to turn him into a likable character after the race. Like, he was a douchebag. He was an absolute douchebag, but it was like he deserved to be a douchebag. Like, he had some moral basis behind him, even though it wasn't said. Like, he was just known to be a typical douchebag, and it made sense. It like worked just how the show rolled. Like, yeah, that guy sucks. I know, and it's like everybody appreciated it. And in the end, he had like a spiritual awakening to where he stopped being a douchebag because he got his ass whooped. And then after Shingo, I think it was it the Impact Blue? Was it the Sylvia? It was the two chicks. That had the whole love interest with Ikatani, which I thought was kind of cool. I hated how it turned out, but I thought it was interesting rather than guy gets the girl. Like it really just pulled at your heartstrings and let you fucking fall on your face. That was an interesting setup. Like all of the initial D races were interesting, except for Kenta. I'm gonna be honest. Racing in the rain against the S14, I believe the car was the orange one. I That was my least favorite race. I think that was like everybody's least favorite race. It was just kind of boring. Like there's because you already knew Takumi was gonna beat him. It didn't matter if it was in the rain or that it was at Akagi. The kid was totally. You could tell that the kid was like not experienced enough to beat the 8-6. Like you could tell that he just wasn't an interesting person to have to be racing. Like you could tell he wasn't doing anything. But I digress. I'm talking about Initial D. This is supposed to be about MF Ghost. Yeah, this show. I don't care about any of these gym leader-esque drivers. That first of all, they keep showing like they shift the focus from our main character to all 8 of these characters in episode 5, and like that's fine if you give us some info on who these guys are, but the only information we get are they're just talking about what's in front of them, which is fine, but the audience already knows what's going on in front of them. We're watching it. So it's just like it's just not good. Like what are these guys' motives? Why are they doing this? Like they're racing, okay, well, we're racing because we want the title and the money. That's the motive? It just makes for an uninteresting protagonist or antagonist. It's just it's kind of frustrating because I thought the scene where they did the Takami nostalgia trip to keep grabbing my attention was cool, but everything after that episode was just kind of like slowly falling off because I feel like the only thing that this show has is nostalgia. That is the only reason why I'm still around. I'm curious to see what they do with the whole Takumi thing. I want to know if they bring any backstory into it, if the show will get more interesting. I just have high doubts. High doubts. At the end of episode 5, they made this scene to where like they were playing like the whole play of the episode was hey, I think I know where our main protagonist is from. I think I know where Kanata is from. And then at the end of the episode they're like, and then we were digging and we found some research. Did you know that Takumi Fujiwara trained him as a driver? And it's like, yes, we knew that before the show came out. Like they were making it like it was this big deal, like at the end of the show to leave the audience like, like, oh my god, no way, he Takumi trained him. But we already knew that. We saw the back of Takumi's head in the episode, and I guess people were supposed to have an orgasm over it. But I'm just like, yeah, I know. We have already cemented this. We know Takumi trained him in London or something like that. Yeah, that's fine. It's just not like we already know this. Like I don't understand why they made it this like big deal. Like they made it like this big anticipation aha moment. It's just silly writing. Silly writing, silly area, silly everything. There's no reason why I want to remember any of these characters. I cannot watch. Like people were complaining at me in the first video I made. Like you can't compare MF Ghosts to Initial D. They're two different shows, and oh well, I thought this character was memorable. Yeah, but the more and more I look at this is my opinion. The more and more I look at it, I can't help myself but compare it to Initial D. It's a sequel to the show. I just don't understand how I'm supposed to look at this with an open mind. That's just like it doesn't make any sense. at all. Like, how can people just look at something like this with just a plain open mind, as if Initial D didn't exist in order to understand and appreciate the show? They literally just keep putting in memorabilia from Initial D because all of the people who watch MF Ghost are Initial D fans. I, whenever, this is where I just have a problem. I just completely disagree with people on this. Well, you need to watch shows that, even though it's sequels to your favorite show, you have to leave the original show out of your head so you can watch this show as an individual. No, no, I completely disagree with that. I completely disagree with that 110%. The show is made to be a sequel from the other show. The first show is what sets the standard for the second one. You can watch MF Ghost as its own individual show. You're not going to know who the hell any of this is based off of, though. Like, you're not going to know that, like, Takumi and Initial D, like, the writing is still just not good. Like, there's the anticipation moments still aren't as good. You can watch Initial D, you can watch MF Ghost before Initial D, and you'll still leave knowing that Initial D was better in every way. You're gonna see that MF Ghost is not that good of a show. It doesn't make any sense as much as I actually thought it did. Somebody challenged me in the comment section because I actually thought it made sense. And no, it didn't. And the more and more I thought about it, I'm like, son of a bitch, he's right. Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. It's just, yeah, I don't know what the show really doesn't leave anything up to imagination like Initial D. Like, Tagami always stared into space whenever he was thinking about something, but he never told you what exactly he was thinking about until it was completely 110% necessary. Because otherwise, you would just have a character that would never talk. But it always left the audience up for interpretation on what he was thinking as a character. Was he memorizing the road? Was he thinking about a strategy? Was he thinking about a girl? Was he thinking about his car? Was he thinking about his future, his life? Like, he was a space cadet, but everyone thought he was crazy and he was weird and he was lost in outer space. But no, he was always like thinking about something subconsciously that he never told anything about. At least that's what I think. But it just leaves that mysterious air about the character. All these main guys that they try bringing into the show just have no anything about them. It's a less attractive Initial D. I don't even want to say it's Initial D with a new coat of paint. It's Initial D with a faded coat of paint. It just doesn't have anything of any color or texture. There's nothing to bring to the table that has an attractiveness about it that I actually care about. I don't know. If I've missed any points, let me know in the comments section. I yeah, I gotta stop. I don't know because this is bothering me. It's just not good. It's not good at all. It's just terrible. Okay, I'm done. I'll stop talking now.